Here in the Putnam County Archives Room are thousands of records and images that help tell the story of the history of Putnam County as a government and a community. Included in this immense collection are some tales and recorded transactions of a beloved American pastime, the American circus. The American circus was born in southeastern Putnam and northern Westchester counties. Menageries and acrobatic shows were big business in Putnam County from the beginning of the 19th century. By the 1840s, wild animal and equestrian exhibitions, acrobats, and clowns joined to create the Big Top. Around 1808, Hacaliah Bailey of Somers paid a sea captain $1,000 for the elephant known as Old Bet and showed her in barns for a fee. Nathan Howes of Brewster then leased her and took her on tour. Old Bet was moved at night so that people couldn't peek without paying, and showing elephants became big business. But by 1824, showing a single elephant was no longer a novelty, and many other wild animals joined in menageries to bring strange and foreign animals and experiences to small-town folk. Farmers in Putnam County quickly learned that investing in the ownership or exhibition of wild animals could be lucrative. Records in the county historian's office tell how three groups of investors went about it. One way was to buy a share of an existing menagerie, as William Hopkins and Hiram Waring did in 1825, when they shared 1/10 of a menagerie. Hopkins bought his portion from Eli Kelly for $650. In this way, the profits and risks of owning the menagerie's elephant, lions, horses, monkeys, baboons were spread among the investors. Another strategy was to make an agreement with a merchant to import wild animals on the behalf of shareholders. In 1827, William Watts, Bailey Howe, Obed Cole, Lewis Crosby, and Jesse Kelly of Carmel did so. They placed an order for one elephant, 2 royal tigers, an orangutan, and an Ajagan bird from India. The risks and rewards of importing and exhibiting animals were so great that in 1835, spearheaded by James Raymond of Carmel, 128 men formed the Zoological Institute. They pooled the menageries of their several companies and jointly owned assets which amounted to $329,325. That's over $9 billion in today's value. The institute sent expeditions all over the globe, and one brought back a rhinoceros, a hippopotamus, even a giraffe. The public and promoters had an insatiable desire for even more exotic animals, and with advertising that even stretched the truth. However, menagerie animals didn't perform. They just stood there. Well, this was about to change. At least 30 menageries were touring America in the 1820s. The successful ones began showing amazing and terrifying animal acts to attract audiences. Elephants were taught to entertain. In 1821, Little Bet was trained to kneel, balance on 2 legs, and present her right foot. In 1843, Raymond's elephant keeper, Albert Putt Townsend of Southeast, handled a 4-elephant team. Advertisements sometimes exaggerated the elephant's skills. Fearless animal keepers began challenging the animals they cared for. Jacob Dreisbach of Schoharie County made his reputation as a wild animal trainer. He's allegedly the first person to teach a leopard to perform with James Raymond's company. Isaac Van Amburgh, great-grandson of Phillipstown pioneer settler Thomas Davenport, also worked for Raymond and Company. Employed first as a cage attendant for the Zoological Institute, he went into the menagerie business on his own and developed dramatic death-defying acts based on biblical and classical themes. In 1833, he entered a cage and held a lion, tiger, leopard, and panther. Dressed as a gladiator, he often ended his act by putting his head inside a lion's mouth. Van Amburgh's triumphal tour in England in 1838 culminated in a stunning performance before Queen Victoria. Van Amburgh's Golden Menagerie joined with a circus that was managed and directed by Hyatt Frost and Henry Barnum of the town of Southeast, and continued long after Van Amburgh's death in 1865. Competing for the same audiences in the same small towns, the menageries and wild animal acts went head-to-head with another kind of mud show. John Bill Ricketts, an Englishman, had introduced equestrian shows in North America in the 1790s. By the 1820s, equestrian exhibitions had added acrobats, jugglers, and clowns to their acts. Nathan A. Howes, born in Southeast in 1796, was credited in his obituary with being the father of the exhibition business in this country. At 15, he began learning the slack wire. Nathan and his partner Aaron Turner of Danbury advertised an exhibition in the Circus featuring somersaults through balloons of fire. Nathan Howe's circus combined equestrian exhibitions along with gymnasts. By the 1840s, Nathan Howes, Van Amburgh, and others realized that a combination of menagerie, wild animal acts, equestrian exhibitions, acrobats, and clowns could tour together, draw larger audiences, and maximize profits. The union of different kinds of shows under one or more tents was the origin of the modern big top. In 1826, the circus tent with a top was first used. Menageries and circuses were no longer confined to indoor spectacles or mud shows in canvas side-walled arenas. The show could now go on, rain or shine, and a tent could accommodate many more people than could see a spectacle indoors. In 1826, Nathan's company toured through the Northeast as far as Bangor, Maine, and made a huge profit. Nathan Howes and his partners, Sylvester Reynolds and Aaron Turner, amazed Brewster crowds on town meeting day in 1826 by erecting a canvas tent or pavilion circus on a lot across from where Seth B. Howe's later residence Stonehenge would be built. This was the first circus tent seen in Southeast, but within a few years, circus seating in the round would be commonplace and would make enormous exhibitions profitable. Moving the tents, seats, and animals from town to town presented a challenge and created an opportunity. Instead of using utilitarian wagons, the circus owners turned a transportation problem into an exciting and glittering advertisement, complete with a bandwagon. In small towns and cities, the circus parade heralded the arrival of the marvels that just had to be seen. A newspaper advertisement announcing the imminent arrival of a circus could never create the stir caused by a giant circus parade. But the circus parade was free, and circus owners needed to show the public just enough to whet its appetite for more. By 1840, fierce competition for the same rural residences made certain that equestrian shows, acrobats, menageries, wild animal tamers, and clowns would combine to create the great American circus. Van Amburgh, the Howe brothers, the Dalavans, Mabies of Paterson, found success in the union of menagerie circus into one giant entertainment. No one did it better than Seth Benedict Howes. In 1826, an 11-year-old Seth joined his brother Nathan in the circus as an equestrian performer. After a few years as the principal rider in several other circuses, the intrepid horseman became a partner with Nathan, creating the Great United States Circus, the largest ever seen in America at that time. In 1849, Seth brought Phineas Barnum, then an exhibitor of curiosities in New York City, into his circus. They toured the country with the celebrated dwarf Dan General, Tom Thumb, whom they paraded on the back of an elephant. Dan Rice, the first great American clown to get his start in Howe's circus. In Rice's early years, he wore formal dress as a Shakespearean clown. In his most famous costume, Rice appeared with chin whiskers, top hat, and red, white, and blue costume, which could be the inspiration for Uncle Sam. In 1849, Nathan retired, but Seth's enterprises continued to expand. He often had several shows touring at once. He brought the twins, Eng and Chang, out of retirement back in 1853 and sent them on tour in New England and Canada. The Great United States Circus, now owned by Seth Howes and Joseph Cushing, sailed to England in 1857 for a triumphal 7-year tour of Great Britain and the continent. Their entourage included the sensational Apollocanon, a portable organ on a huge wagon pulled by 40 cream-colored horses. Everywhere Howes and Cushing met with great success and were honored with a command performance before Queen Victoria. Upon returning triumphant into the United States in 1864, Seth B. Howes' Great United States Circus turned into the Great European Circus. Even after Seth Howes' retirement in 1879, he continued to sponsor his nephews in the Howes Great London Circus. The Howes family remained active in the circus business for 50 more years. Many Howes family members are buried in the Milltown Rural Cemetery in Brewster. The most notable grave is the stone mausoleum that belongs to Seth B. Howes. Around it is a ring of brass, a final tribute to his life in the circus ring. By 1840, menageries and circus acts had combined to create the most important rural entertainment in 19th century America. Hundreds of people, especially in the regions surrounding Brewster, were employed by the circus as entertainers, animal keepers, tamers, advance men, tent makers, ticket sellers, blacksmiths, wagon makers, and feed store owners. When the touring season was over, the animals of the menageries made their winter quarters in Brewster. According to Gene C. Howe's book, The Howes Circus Story, the whole town would turn out for a free show as the animals were lined up on both sides of North Main Street. The caged animals, horses and elephants, were on exhibit until late afternoon. Then the cages rolled, and the elephants tramped over to the great bars on Star Ridge to stay until spring. Additionally, the area around the foot of Peaceable Hill became known as Monkey Town, for you guessed it, where the monkeys lived in the off-season. We can credit so many citizens from Putnam County for their role in creating the circus. From the early days of menageries and acrobatic shows to the debut of the Big Top, folks from Putnam County made the early circus mesmerizing and memorable. Long before radio, movies, television, and the internet, there was the circus.